What's up, guys? This is Real Dealz TV, aka the Real Dealz Podcast, episode 312. And this week, I wanted to do a video show. And I wanted to do a video show that has never been done before. That I've ever done before, anyway. And not one that I've actually seen anybody else in this space called influencer or podcasters or gurus or whatever it may be. I've never seen anybody do a show like this. So I thought, you know what? You guys are going to like it, and I think it's a great idea. So, what are we going to talk about this week? Well, you probably can't see everything that's in front of me here, but over the last, call it 10 years, give or take, I have this file, and it's about that thick. And it's a file that's here in the office. It's in the file cabinet right back there. And of all the properties that we buy and sell, we get marketed to as well from other real estate investors, realtors, people trying to buy houses, right? And so every time I get one of these mail pieces, I take it, and I put it in the file cabinet back there, and I put it in my giant swipe file. So I have a huge file with just about every piece of direct mail marketing that you could possibly get, since we've bought tons and tons of houses over that 10 years, and we've been marketed to more times than I can count by real estate investors and realtors. So I thought this week, why don't we go through all of those pieces that I've got, and we'll kind of talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad, we'll talk about the fugly. And really, I'm not doing this to make fun of people or to say, this is a terrible piece. This is meant to teach you guys why certain things work, why people do certain things with direct mail. I talk to a lot of people that, they want to reinvent the wheel with direct mail. They think they can make a better piece. And direct mail is a very simple game if you understand it, but people overcomplicate it. And so I want to go through all these different pieces, why some of them work, why some of them maybe don't work, which ones are more like blast marketing, which ones are more better used for like sniper type marketing, which ones are better used for brand marketing, which ones are better used as, Bob who buys houses down the street, random Bob. And I want to go through all the things, and I want to talk about what's working now and how you guys can use all that in your business. So, let's get started, right? Now, for those of you guys that are just getting into the world of direct seller marketing and you're looking at doing direct mail, the first stop that everybody gets to is postcards, right? And the reason why is because postcards are cheap, right? They're the cheapest way for you to market to sellers, and we, as real estate investors, are generally cheapskates, right? So, we love postcards. That's number one stop, first stop on that direct seller marketing train. So what I have here is 4 different stacks of postcards, and I want to go through them because there's about 4 different types generally. I mean, within those types, there's a bunch of cards that you can make or use or customize, but generally there's 4 different types of postcards that I found over this last 10 years that people send me. So the first one is this, everybody's favorite, right? Urgent notice, problem property. Property notification. Do not discard this card. How much longer before I hear from you? Attention, I urgently need to speak with you about your property. Property notification. Urgent, right? There's another one. Oh, here's my favorite. Tax liens do not prevent you from selling your home. Urgent notice, right? So we buy tax liens like yours every day, even though this property didn't have a tax lien against it. So these are kind of your scare tactic postcards, right? They scare people into being concerned enough that they pick up the phone and call you, or they just completely pisses them off. One of the two, right? Some people read this and they'll be like, oh, screw that guy or screw those people or whatever. And other people will be like, oh my God, what's going on with this property? I guess I need to call them, right? So that's, the latter is the reason why people send this, because they think that it'll scare people into making a call or make them concerned to the point that they want to call you. And so you'll notice with these, there's a variety of different colors. This one's blue, which stands out a little more. This one's white, but it's got like a shiny finish. And then of course you've got your typical crappy yellow looking one, right? And over the years, people say the crappy yellow looking ones tend to pull the best. I don't know that that's true. They're definitely the cheapest. This one here, this one that says urgent, they even put a stamp on it, right? Most of these postcards don't come with a stamp. They've just got, pre-addressed postage that kind of gets stamped on there and not a physical stamp. So this is a pre-sorted stamp that they put on there, so that separates it a little bit. But this one's definitely the most like fear-mongering of the bunch. So generally with these, you're going to have a variety of different colors, and you're going to have some sort of call to action at the beginning that makes people concerned, which is why they call you. I personally hate these. I don't like them at all. And the reason I don't like them is because I just feel like it puts the wrong foot forward. It says, hey, you need to call me because you have a major problem, and I just don't like that type of marketing. Doesn't mean it doesn't work. I just personally don't like it. Now, the other thing with those is they're all printed, right? They're printed. They look like, they're not personally done for the most part. Some of them have like some handwritten font on the back, but it's very obvious that it's not handwritten font. It's printed handwritten font. So, on to the next batch. This is... Here, you'll see this one. This one's actually pretty good. It's pink, right? And this one has got handwritten font on there, so they're trying to make it look handwritten. But one of the things that they do on this one, and I guess I should frame this, this is more about what I can do for you. This guy's sending me a postcard, and he says, hey, my name is Joey. I want to buy your house at blah, blah, blah. I can pay cash. No matter what the condition, call me now to receive a fair cash offer, right? He's basically saying, here's what my services are, not you should be scared because something terrible is about to happen to your property. It also says, P.S., no realtor fees, no appraisal, no repairs, no hassles. Call me right away. Now, the one thing about this one that I like, number one, it's a different color, so it stands out a little more, which people do all the time. Number two is they did the handwritten thing, which is kind of cool. Number three is, you can see on here, and Dan will zoom in on it, they actually have some little scribblies that they put on this postcard to make it look like somebody literally scribbled on it to make it very personal. Even on the back here, within the arrow, they actually have scribblies within the arrow. So it looks like somebody did like an outline of an arrow, and then they scribbled in the arrow to make it look that personal, which I don't know if it works or not, but it's an interesting take. I know people do like the coffee stained thing, so like you can order a letter where it looks like somebody put their coffee mug on the letter, and there's like a stain ring, so that's supposed to make it seem earnest in nature, right, or whatnot. So it feels like they're legitimately inquiring about your property, and it's not just a mass mailing. Here's another one. Again, it's pink. It says house is wanted on the side. It's not quite as personal, but they've got the little arrow on there that they do. The buy with the dollar signs on both sides, that's a big thing that gets used mainly in yellow letters of old, but that's something to keep in mind. And then here is the yellow letter postcard, right? You've got lined, almost looks like yellow letters. It's not yellow letters though, or it's not a yellow letter, it's a postcard. So this is the cheaper way to do a yellow letter via postcard, and this one actually has a stamp as well. But again, with these, it just says, hey, my name is so-and-so and I'd like to buy your property. It can be hassle-free. That's basically the approach. Now here's one that's interesting. This one's from Homevestors. White postcard. They've got an actual live stamp on it. They make it look handwritten. Pretty good font overall. But again, this one is just, here's what my services are. Well, buy as is, no commissions, blah, blah, blah. Same pitch, but they're trying to make it look very personal in nature. And they do a pretty good job of it, honestly, on this card. This is probably one of my favorite postcards. Here's another one. This is another postcard, handwritten. Again, just a summary of what their services are. This is a printed version of the handwritten font, which doesn't look personal. So I don't know that I would do this because I would just print it normally. And then lastly, here's another one. Oh, this is my favorite. So it says, hey, my name is Jesse. I'd like to buy your property at blah, blah, blah. Same, offer in terms of I'll pay your closing costs, pick the day of your choice, we buy cash, hassle-free, blah, blah, blah. But this is my favorite. He put God bless on this one. I hate to break it to you folks, God has nothing to do with me buying people's property. It really does not. So I hate it when I see that. I always just think scammer. So anyway, this one goes in the scammer pile for me. All right, so that's your kind of handwritten, these are my services type marketing pieces. Then you have kind of the bigger, more corporate looking stuff, right? This one is very much, handshake, PDX Renovations, they send this one. Looks like, a lot of trust here. And then on the back, it's got a list of their services. So this is a very corporate type, we're a business, we're looking to buy houses, here are our services. This here, kind of the same thing. They put a nice house on the front, sell your house, here are our services, very nicely outlined. Here's another one. Same thing, again, very corporate looking, or company, it's very professional. Here's the services, call us today, the number's big, kind of they reinforce the services on the back. And then here's Homevestors again. They've got, same type of thing. So as you get the idea here, kind of go down the line, and then Phoenix like this. So you have your initial ones that are, scare tactic postcards. Then you have your handwritten ones, which are, here are our services. I hope you think this postcard is earnest in nature and it's just me sending it to you and not blast marketing. And then there's this one, or this type, which is basically company marketing that says, hey, we're a company, we buy houses, this is what we do, hopefully you call us. Now, the only other caveat to those that's been done as of late or within the last year or so is the street picture postcard, right? This has been a big one that's been going around. I don't think it pulls any better or worse, to be honest with you, but it gets people's attention. It's definitely been used a lot in the last couple of years, so I don't think it's working nearly as well as it did initially. It was kind of a gimmick. And then on the back of this one, it actually shows a picture of this guy and his family. I personally don't like that because, again, people do it because they want you to feel trust. They want you to think that you're a normal person with a normal family that's just trying to buy houses, and so there's no reason for them to be afraid of you. I just don't like it. I don't like leveraging my family for the sake of trying to elicit those emotions out of people that are on the other end of this, especially at mass, right? I don't want to send my wife and kids out on a postcard. It just feels dirty to me, so I never do it. I feel like there's better ways to get people to respond other than doing that. But this is kind of the last form of postcard that we normally get that has the Google Street picture on it, or some sort of picture like that that says, hey, I want to buy your house, and hopefully this gets your attention. So that's kind of your cheaper marketing, right? That's your kind of generic, first stop that people land on type marketing. Then you get into the more expensive marketing, which is generally letters, right? So if you're going to send a letter, it's going to cost more money. And so what I want to start out with letters is, let's start with Open Door, right? So Open Door started sending letters. They've got a live stamp. It's not a creative stamp, though. It's just a typical stamp, which, it's okay. The envelope itself, the packaging, it's okay. It's white. It's pretty bland. Doesn't really get your attention. And you open it up, and then it's got kind of a tri-fold letter here, which basically says, get an offer on your home in 24 hours, right? So it's a very compelling headline there, and it's just an offer of their services. So again, it's a company looking to buy houses. The message is good. The headline's compelling, but the packaging itself, the stamp, I give it, like a 3 out of 10 on that. So, but they're spending a ton of money and they don't really care about their ROI necessarily because they got money to burn. So they're just going to send tons and tons of those types of letters, and they do get responses from them, but that could be improved dramatically. This is Phoenix Redevelopment. They're in town here. They've been our competition for years. They have a similar type of packaging, similar type of stamp on here. Printed on the front versus handwritten. Same here. It says printed at mass, you can see, which, that is something to think about when you're doing letters. This is printed also, but within this, they have more of a, they have a letter at the beginning, which basically says, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, we want to buy houses. But then, an interesting thing here is they have kind of a trifold or a continuation that has the top questions, right? The top questions of what it is that you as a home seller might have of a company that buys houses, and it answers those questions, which basically then hopefully alleviates your concerns about that company being legitimate and why it is that you should call them. So I kind of like that, the questionnaire thing. I think that's a good way to build trust with people without actually talking to them. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing letters that are kind of, generic company type letters. Again, the packaging could be better, the stamp could be better, but I do like that quite a bit. Now, as we go into less professional ones, here's a guy that sent me one printed at bulk. There wasn't even a live stamp on this one, but then I got this. This one's my favorite, right? We pay cash fast, right? That's about the cheesiest letter I've gotten in about ever, which is why I kept it. And then there's actually a line here that says, I'm interested in purchasing a property located at in Lake Oswego. They didn't put the address on there, right? But they did write a PS to call me at and email me. So they think that the form letter here is going to work. I can't imagine that it worked too well because I only got one from this guy, and he never sent any others, so I can't imagine his response rate was that great. But again, his packaging wasn't that good either. Here's another one, right? Okay, so Open Door got a little smarter here. They got a little colorful in their envelope. But if you open it up again, it's the same type of message. It's a one-page trifold, good headline, and then it just basically is a call to action to reach out to them, and you get a no-obligation offer for your home. So this is a little better on the packaging side. The letter itself is good. It's not great because it's printed. It doesn't seem like it's individualized for anybody, but they're not trying to go for that. All right, so now that's kind of your generic form letter that we went through. Now we're going to get into the more personal stuff, right? So you can go postcards. There's a variety of different postcards we went through. You can do letters. We just went through the different letters you can go through as far as generic type trifold or form letters. And then you get to the personal stuff. This is kind of the sniper type marketing. This is the stuff that I like to really get people's attention. So first one here, let's see what this is. Well, it's a small envelope, right? Invitation style envelope. It's a little different. It's hand addressed on the actual envelope here. It's got a live stamp. Stamp's nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary to get people's attention, but smaller envelope, so it gets your attention there. And then you get, oh, you guys have recognized this, right? Seen this before? It says, this one actually says, "Hi, Jonathan," so his data that he got was actually not very good, but he says, "My name is so-and-so and I would like to buy your house." There's the buy with the dollar signs, right? Everybody uses that, so don't use that. And then it says what house it is that they want to buy, and they're actually, it is a house that we bought and sold, but they got their data wrong, so they actually addressed it to Jonathan as opposed to myself or the company. But they did a yellow letter here, and they probably hired a yellow letter company to do it, and then the yellow letter company put it in a little invitation envelope here. So it's a little better overall, but yellow letters get used a ton. This one here, this is another invitation style envelope. Again, it's a kind of a standard forever stamp. Within it though, they've got a printed letter, nothing handwritten, but then they actually have a cut form, which I don't know if you guys have seen these, but these used to be big back in the day in the guru circuit, where you basically have people fill out what it is that they want for their property and then mail it back to you, so you get kind of warm leads that come in and then you can call them. Well, in this case, he didn't give me a return envelope with the stamp or anything like that, so he sent me a cut form to give my information and send it back to him with no envelope to put it in and no stamp. So I can't imagine that this was very effective in terms of marketing, but people used to do that back in the day. We did it a fair bit. We didn't get a great response with it, so we actually stopped it pretty quickly, but apparently this guy watched a video on YouTube University and thought it was a good one. Let's see, here's one, another invitation style envelope, kind of a generic stamp from a gentleman here locally. And this is a little better, right? They did it on a little different form of paper. It looks a little more handwritten. It's obviously printed, but it looks a little more handwritten. And it just says that we're looking to buy a few houses in the area, and we would like to buy yours. If you're interested, we pay cash, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, a little different size envelope, a little bit better style of paper, a little thicker stock, seems a little bit more individualized, and so it's a little bit better. Then you get onto this, right? You get this in the mail, you'll probably open it. They've got handwritten, address here, handwritten return address. They got a Superwoman stamp, so they did a little something creative with the stamp. So the packaging is good, the stamp's good. Then you open it up here. Let's see what we got. So we've got a printed letter, which is actually pretty decent. Got a picture of her to make her real. Has kind of a basically a summary of what the services are, which is, hey, we buy cash, day of your choice, no commissions, blah, blah, blah. Same pitch, right? They've got an actual company, they got a logo, they've got, let's see, no website that I can see. I take that back. There's a website, there's an email, there's a phone number, so she looks legitimate. And then she put in a sticker with the state of Oregon outlined on it. So this is what I call a grabber piece. So this is her grabber. Her grabber is her sticker, which is to try and get you to remember her or to get her message to stick. So I give the letter and the grabber an okay grade. It's not, amazing, but it's not terrible by any means. I give the packaging a good grade though. She did a good job on the packaging. This stands out. It's a different size, kind of odd sized, good color, handwritten everywhere, and it's got a specialty stamp on it. So overall, I think she did pretty good on the packaging side of things. Let's see if we can look at maybe one more here before we wrap up. So let's see. Here's one. Larry Van Fleet. So this individual right here, we actually ended up buying this guy's house, and this was the competition that sent it to him before us. So they did a hand address to Larry, a typical kind of bulk stamp. Return address was actually a sticker and not written on there. And then inside, they did a yellow printed letter. So it's yellow, and it's basically a summary of services. It's a company printed type letter. So nothing too personal here, but they did it in a letter format. So basically they took your postcard and just converted it to a letter. But at the end of the day, we actually did a handwritten looking letter with some handwritten different type of packaging and a grabber that we put in. And Larry called us, and we ended up buying the house over this. So anyway, that's kind of what the gamut is in terms of what it is that you can do if you're going to do direct mail. I think the best direct mail that I've found anywhere, and this isn't just a pitch because he's my friend, but Justin Silverio with Open Letter Marketing, he's taken a lot of the concepts that we have refined over the years, and he uses them in his direct mail house over at Open Letter Marketing. But you can do all these different types of things, and they all have a place in marketing. But it depends on what your budget is. It depends on what your business is. It depends on how much marketing you want to do. How big of an area you want to buy houses in. All those things factor into the different types of marketing that you should do, or the things that you should take from what we just went over here and use them in your business. So if you guys want to find out more in terms of the tweaks and the secrets that we use personally, which there's some of them in here, I didn't dive into too much more than what you see just on the surface here, but if you want to find out what those are, you can join our Deal Finders Academy, and we talk all about how to use the packaging, how to use the grabbers, how to use the mail pieces to kind of fit within your business and get the maximum response from that. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this episode. Like I said, nobody's ever done this. Nobody's ever dived into a swipe file like this before, and hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. And one last thing, here's a little trifold, right? That we buy ugly houses, people. It's not a bad trifold, right? Pretty good. And so that was the last piece that I wanted to show you. That actually came in a letter too, so that was kind of their grabber within a letter. So, all right, guys, this is episode 312, Real Dealz Podcast. Hope you guys learned something. I'll see you all next week.